Okay, good afternoon everyone. Ma'am Rachel, good afternoon po. Good afternoon nurses. Sa lahat ng mga naka-Zoom, good afternoon po sa inyong lahat. Sa lahat ng mga nasa live, so good afternoon po. So nurses, good afternoon. So once again, this is Miss Jem Sombilia, your IPAS lecturer for this evening. So bago ako mag-start, gusto ko muna i-congratulate lahat ng newly registered nurses natin ng May 2025 PNLE. So congratulations to all of you. No? Finally, your hard work and your dedication for more than 4 years has paid off. So this deserve po natin. You really deserve this nurses, especially sa lahat ng mga students ko from IPAS, lahat po ng IPASers. Congratulations on your 100%. So this is actually the first time na nag-offer ang IPAS ng PNL program, and kagaya nga ng palagi naming sinasabi, as usual po, no, your IPAS family never fails us. So 100% po tayo sa unang pagkakataon na nag-offer kami ng PNLE. Okay? So without further ado, nurses, let's start na po. Mag-umpisa na po tayo. So let's have our neurologic discussion for this evening. So this is actually the fifth leading cause of mortality in the USA and the second to third leading cause of mortality here in the Philippines. Now, Ms. Jem, bakit po importante na alam natin yung prevalence ng mga disorders? Alam niyo po, nurses, in your PNLE and also in your NCLEX, napaka ginagawa yung examination. So, sinusundan natin yan. So, basically, the CVA is the primary cerebrovascular disorder. It is the primary cerebrovascular disorder. This is actually the fifth leading cause of mortality in the USA. Okay, fifth leading cause of mortality, no, in the USA, and number two, second to third leading cause of mortality here in the Philippines. Okay? So yan, this is otherwise known as your stroke or brain attack. Okay. Now, Miss Jem, what is the main problem kapag pinag-uusapan po natin yung CBA or stroke? Actually, nurses, palagi ko itong sinasabi sa mga students ko na ang CBA is the counterpart of your MI. Ang problem natin dito would be disruption of blood supply sa ating brain. Kung sa MI, the problem is disruption of blood supply in the heart. In your CVA, this is the disruption of blood supply in the brain. So basically, your major problem here is oxygenation. At iyan ang target natin dyan. Our main goal is to what? Promote reperfusion. Okay? Disruption of blood supply in the brain. So that's the counterpart of your MI. Now, what causes disruption of blood in the brain? At bakit kapag ang mga neurologists nagmamanage ng CVA, masyado silang aggressive? You know, nurses, konting recap lang tayo about brain cells. As we all know, nurses, our brain cells, okay, ang atin pong mga brain cells ay time sensitive. Pag sinabi po nating time sensitive, meaning to say, nurses, ang brain cell natin ay highly sensitive saan? Sa oxygen. Our brain is highly, okay, sensitive, okay, to oxygen. So every time na nagkakaroon po tayo ng hypoxia or makulangan po ng oxygen for few minutes, nagkaroon tayo ng ischemia for few minutes. Let's say, for example, according to Bukapodan, for about 4 to 6 minutes, kay Brunner ganun din. So for about few minutes, nurses, nakulangan ng oxygen ng ating brain, it could lead to irreversible brain damage. Okay? It could lead to irreversible brain damage, meaning to say, nurses, hindi po yan nagre-regenerate. Hindi po yan kagaya ng ibang cell natin sa loob ng ating katawan na may kakayahan mag-regenerate. This one, very limited lang. Have a limited capacity, okay? Have limited regenerative capacity. Okay, have limited regenerative capacity. Tandaan niyo po yan, nurses. Kaya very, very aggressive po tayo when managing patient with stroke. Kasi your brain cells is timeless sensitive. Meaning to say, the longer the brain goes without oxygen, the greater the risk. Okay, the greater the risk of permanent brain damage and a long-term neurological deficit. So meaning to say, kapag mas matagal na kulangan ng oxygen ang ating brain cell, mas matindi ang sign and symptoms at mas marami, mas matagal ang mga neurological symptoms like there will be weaknesses, there will be slurring of speech, there will be paralysis, there will be hemiparesis, at marami-marami pang iba. So it's very important, nurses, no, in your CBA, we need to promote oxygenation. We need to prevent cerebral hypoxia. Okay, yan ang pinakamukha ng sakit na yan. Okay, yan ang pinakamukha ng disorder na yan. You know, nurses, kapag ang brain cells natin nakulangan ng oxygen or nagkaroon tayo ng hypoxia, tandaan to, 1.9 millions of nerves sa ating brain ang namamatay. So ganun po ka-sensitive ang ating brain pagdating sa oxygenation. And that's our main goal. We need to promote cerebral perfusion, okay? Pag tayo ay dumiretso na sa ating management. Okay, now nurses, what causes disruption in the blood supply? So we have two major categories. Nakadepende po yan sa dalawang categories. It can be ischemic, which is this is actually related to vascular occlusion. This is actually related due to vascular occlusion. Vascular meaning to say it's blood vessels. So there will be obstruction in the cerebral vessels, right? There will be obstruction in the cerebral blood vessels, okay? So that's your ischemic, okay? And this is divided into three, nurses. This is actually divided into three. We have the thrombotic. Thrombotic is the most common, okay? Thrombotic is the most common, okay? In the board exam, napaka-importante po na tinatandaan natin which of the following is the most common type of CVA, which of the following is the most dangerous type of CVA. The thrombotic stroke is the most common type of ischemic. So basically, the clot here is localized, no? Local ang origin. Ibig sabihin po, ito po ay nanggaling na sa mismong cerebral vessel ng brain. Hindi po yan nanggaling sa ibang part. So it's local origin. Another would be your TIA. Your TIA is your transient ischemic attack, okay? This is transient ischemic attack, okay? Now, nurses, from the word itself, transient, meaning to say it's temporary. It's temporary. So, nare-resolve po ito within 24 hours, okay? At alam nyo ba, ang TIA ay isang senyales na yan na ang pasyente ay possible magkaroon ng impending stroke. Okay? So, pwede pang maulit yan. So, kaya ang mga patients na nag-TIA, we have to monitor those patients. Usually, nagbibigay na tayo dyan ng mga platelet-inhibiting medications, no? To prevent secondary stroke. And another one, that would be your embolic. Yes, this is your embolic stroke. You know, nurses, your embolic stroke, ang clot nito is nanggaling elsewhere. So kahit saan po pwede. The clot from elsewhere. Ibig sabihin po, nurses pwedeng nanggaling because of deep vein thrombosis. But the most common nurses embolic stroke would be the cardio. Okay, your cardioembolic stroke, meaning to say nanggaling po ang clot sa puso, and this is your atrial fibrillation. It's a type of your cardiac arrhythmia. Ma'am Jem, gaano po kadaming pasyente ang nagkakaroon ng embolic na ang cause ay cardio-related or dahil sa problema sa puso? It's 20%. Look, nurses, this is actually the most common, your atrial fibrillation. Once again, nurses, in your ischemic category of stroke, it's due to vascular occlusion, meaning to say there is obstruction. There is obstruction in the cerebral blood vessels. It can be thrombotic, wherein the clot is coming from local origin. It's the most common. Your TIA, it's transient, meaning to say na ang pasyente nagkaroon ng obstruction but eventually na-resolve din within 24 hours. It's temporary. And number 3 would be the embolic. It's clot from elsewhere. And the most common na pinanggalingan ng clot or origin would be cardio-related. One of the most common would be the atrial fibrillation. It's a type of cardiac arrhythmia. So it's 20%, look nurses. So hindi lang lahat ng pasyente nagkakaroon ng cardiac arrhythmia ay puso lang ang dinadalim, but also pwedeng mag-develop niya ng cardioembolic stroke. Okay, this is your atrial fibrillation. Okay? So that's your ischemic. Now, punta tayo sa pangalawa, nurses. We have your hemorrhagic. Your hemorrhagic stroke is basically due to ruptured aneurysm. Okay? This is due to ruptured aneurysm. Okay. You know, nurses, 80% po, 80% ng mga pasyente na merong hemorrhagic stroke ay dahil sa uncontrolled hypertension. Okay? So sa pagtaas ng pressure, so nagkakaroon tayo ng weakening of the vessel wall. Okay, vessel wall or wall of the artery inside your brain. So this could lead to ruptured, no? And pwede talaga siyang mag-bleed. And this is the most dangerous. So sa kanilang lahat na binanggit natin, nurses, ito ang pinaka-dangerous type ng stroke, okay? Ito ang pinaka-malala. You know why, nurses? It's most dangerous dahil rapid. Rapid ang pagbagsak ng level of consciousness or sensorium ng pasyente dahil mabilis din ang pagtaas ng kanilang intracranial pressure. So that's why your hemorrhagic stroke is the most dangerous. It's highly related to uncontrolled hypertension. Kaya nagkaroon ng ruptured aneurysm. Okay? Alam nyo ba ang sintomas ng hemorrhagic stroke, nurses? Aside sa PAS, kasi alam naman natin yan, kapag stroke ang pinag-uusapan natin, we have your facial asymmetry, we have your speech difficulty, we have slurring of speech. But you know, nurses, in your hemorrhagic stroke, ang sabi ni Brunner, ang hemorrhagic stroke daw, this is the worst headache of our life. Yan daw ang pinakamasakit, no? This is the worst, okay, headache of my life. Ganyan i-explain or i-describe kung gaano kasakit yung headache ng pasyenteng nagkakaroon ng hemorrhagic stroke. Okay, once again, this is the most dangerous and this is due to ruptured aneurysm due to uncontrolled hypertension. Okay? So, management. Okay, Ms. Jem, ano po ang gagawin natin? How will you manage patient na nagkaroon ng stroke? Okay. Nurses, let's say for example, nagpunta tayo sa hospital. Okay, so from the onset ng stroke, from the time na magpakita ng manifestation, okay, kailangan inoorasan natin yan. Okay, anong oras nag-manifest yan? Anong oras yan nagkaroon ng facial nagkaroon ng paralysis, nagkaroon ng facial asymmetry, nagkaroon ng hemiplegia or hemiparesis. No, nurses, importante yan. Kailangan alam natin kasi yun talaga yung pinaka-basis ng management natin, the onset. Okay. Now, ang unang gagawin mo upon arrival of the patient from the ER, okay, so alam nyo magagamit nyo to even in your NCLEX. That's actually a good thing in your PNLE here, in your IPAS. Kasi every time we lecture about concept, talagang may touch na po ito ng kung paano kami nagle-lecture sa NCLEX. Kaya nga sabi ko, talagang sa IPAS, talagang busog na busog ka na. So kung paano ang atake sa NCLEX, ina-apply na namin somehow sa PNLE kasi alam nating lahat, majority of you, no, you're planning to take your NCLEX examination after you pass your PNLE, no, your local board examination. No, okay, now, you have to identify the type of the stroke, the first one. So upon arrival of the patient from the ER, ang una mong gagawin is to what? Okay? Kailangan ang pasyente malaman natin kung anong klaseng stroke meron yan. So from the given major category, we have to identify is it ischemic or is it hemorrhagic? Okay? Is it ischemic or is it hemorrhagic? Yan ang una mong gagawin. Kasi nurses, identifying the type of stroke will be the basis of our management. This will be the basis of our management. Okay? Kaya napaka-importante na dapat alam natin anong stroke ba ang ima-manage natin. Hindi tayo basta bigay ng antiplatelet. Hindi tayo basta-basta bigay ng thrombolytics. We have to identify the specific type of stroke. And how will you identify? Through what? Your CT scan. This is actually the initial diagnostic test. This is the initial diagnostic test for CVA. You know why? Because your CT scan can be done rapidly. It can be done rapidly. Okay, pag tinanong sa board exam, even in NCLEX, what is the initial diagnostic examination for stroke? The correct answer would be CT scan, not MRI, it's CT scan. Now, the question is, Ms. Jem, is it with contrast or non-contrast? Is it plain or with contrast? Yun ang tanong dyan. Nurses, the correct answer, it should be non-contrast. It should be plain. Okay, dapat po plain. You know, nurses, why? Okay, pakinote po ito. Kaya dapat plain, tandaang mabuti. Kapag ang contrast medium po at ang blood ay tiningnan mo sa imaging, isa lang ang kulay niyan, white in color. So ngayon, this could what? This could affect the result. Pwedeng mag-cause yan ng false positive result. That's why nurses, it should be plain. Non-contrast. Once again, why, Ms. Jem? Dahil ang kulay ng contrast medium at ng dugo ay parehas ng kulay sa imaging. So it should be non-contrast or plain. Very, very important po yan, nurses. Okay? Ms. Jem, kailan po natin dapat ma-perform ang CT scan? Or kailan dapat
Recording in progress.
ng CT scan ang pasyente? Okay, nurses, within 20 minutes. So, kailangan na po nating ma-initiate yan. Within 20 minutes, look, wala kang hindi ka dito pwedeng tumambay-tambay. Kapag ang pasyente mo ay na-stroke from the time na mag-manifest yung symptom, from the time na nagpakita ng manifestation yan, at kapag dinala yan sa ER, within 20 minutes, kailangan makapag-CT scan na yan. Okay? So, I want you to imagine yourself inside the ER. Ganito ang gagawin natin. At kapag kayo nag-TNLE, okay, and hopefully nag-take na rin ng NCLEX, ganyan ang gagawin nyo. You have to imagine yourself in the specific situation. Okay? Before, di ba, anong sabi sa atin before? Huwag ka daw mag-i-imagine ng nagmamanage ng pasyente. No, hindi na po siya applicable ngayon. When managing the patient, kailangan talaga you have to imagine, ilalagay mo ang sarili mo sa sitwasyon. Tingnan mo ang pasyente, kulay black ang mata, ikaw ang bahalang mag-describe kung anong kulay ng mata niyan. Basta kinakailangan you have to imagine the patient at nandun ka sa sitwasyon na yun. Kasi ang labanan ngayon ng TNLE and NCLEX would be your clinical judgment. Okay, your clinical judgment or in your clinical decision. Okay, so you have to imagine yourself. So nasa ER, dinala, okay, sa ER ang pasyente, nagko-complain ng slurring of speech, ng hemiplegia. So ang unang gagawin, CT scan. Within 20 minutes, CT scan. It can be done rapidly, non-contrast, because blood and contrast medium parehas ng kulay. It could lead to false positive result. That's it. Malinaw tayo dyan, nurses. This is the time na magmamanage ka na. So how will you manage? Okay? Ms. Jem, paano po ako magmamanage ng ischemic stroke? So ang una mong gagawin, okay? Ito yan. Ang una dyan would be what? Okay, this is actually acute management nurses. So wala tayo sa rehabilitation ha. Yung mga sinasabi, yung mga ang pinapakita ko po dito, hindi po iyan yung mga supportive and hindi po iyan yung mga supportive and symptomatic management natin. Our management here is more focused doon sa acute, no? Okay, yung mga rehabilitation na yan, pag tayo ay nag-start na ng review natin with IPAS, doon na natin dadalihin yan. But here, we're talking about the acute management for stroke. Okay, now, na-identify mo na kung anong klaseng stroke. Let's say, for example, na-identify mo ischemic, meaning to say the problem is obstruction. The problem is occlusion. The problem is vascular occlusion. It can be from other parts of the body, the dislodge going to the brain, it's embolic, okay? Or it can be TIA, or it can be thrombotic from the local origin na nagaling mismo sa brain. Now, nurses in your ischemic stroke, ang unang natin ibibigay, this is the main treatment, nurses. This is the main treatment. And this is very, very important. Your TPA, your tissue plasminogen activator. Okay, this is the tissue plasminogen activator. Yan, nabubulol na ako. No? Mukhang nag-hypoglycemia na si Bang Jet. Your TPA. Okay. Now, your TPA, this is a thrombolytic. Okay, this is your thrombolytic. So we all know that, nurse, as your thrombolytic, it dissolve clot. Right? It dissolve clot. Sa Tagalog, tinutunaw nito yung mga clot, okay, sa ating blood vessels. Your antiplatelet, it prevents, okay? It prevents new clot. Anticoagulant, it prevents further clot. And the thrombolytic, it dissolve clot. Iba-iba po sila ng paraan kung paano na prevent and ma-manage yung clot. Okay? If antiplatelet, it prevents new clot. If it's anticoagulant, it prevents further clot. And if it's thrombolytic, it dissolve clot. Okay? So your tissue plasminogen activator. Now, ma'am, this is the main treatment. This is actually your main treatment. Okay, this is the main treatment. Miss Jem, kailan po yan binibigay? Okay, kapag ang pasyente na-diagnose ng ischemic stroke, i-administer natin yung nurses within 3 hours hanggang 4.5 hours. Ma'am, very aggressive, no? Yes, for better outcome. Okay? For better outcome. Once again, kailangan pong mabigay yan within 3 hours, okay, to 4.5 hours from the time na ang pasyente ay magkaroon ng manifestation ng stroke hanggang sa ma-diagnose siya ng ischemic stroke for better outcome. Okay? We need to dissolve clot to promote cerebral perfusion. Okay? We need to dissolve clot to promote cerebral perfusion. Okay? To promote cerebral perfusion. Okay, now, in administering TPA, we need to consider different criteria. Meron tayong eligibility criteria dito, ha? Hindi tayo basta bigay ng TPA nurses. Pag sinabi po nating eligibility criteria, kanino ba ito contraindicated? Kanino ba ito pwede? Kanino ba ito hindi pwede? So, ganun lang siyang kasimple. Okay, now, pag magbibigay po tayo ng TPA, kinakailangan, number 1, the patient must be clinically diagnosed with ischemic stroke. Okay? Ang pasyente po, dapat clinically diagnosed yan. Okay? Dapat po yan ay clinically diagnosed ng ischemic stroke. Subukan mong magbigay ng TPA, okay, sa pasyente na ang diagnosis ay hemorrhagic. Okay? Sigurado, tanggal ang lisensya natin, no? So, kailangan clinically diagnose ang pasyente na ischemic stroke before administering what? Your TPA, because TPA dissolve clot, and one of the most common complications, actually not one of the most, but the most common complications of blood thinners is actually bleeding. Diba? Kaya alam natin na this is contraindicated sa mga pasyenteng merong bleeding disorders. So it's contraindicated for hemorrhagic stroke. So ano pa, Ms. Jem? Kinakailangan po ang BP, the BP is less than 185 mmHg. Okay, this is actually systolic BP. And your diastolic must be less than 110 millimeter of mercury. That's your diastolic BP. Ma'am, bakit po? Bakit po kinakailangan na ang blood pressure ng pasyente kapag nagbibigay ng TPA ay dapat less than 185 over less than 110 millimeter of mercury? This is the reason. What is the primary cause of hemorrhagic stroke? It's uncontrolled hypertension. your ruptured aneurysm. Ngayon, pag mataas ang BP, pwedeng magkaroon ng intra. Okay? This is to prevent intracerebral hemorrhage. Okay, this is to prevent intracerebral hemorrhage. So, bawal na bawal po yan. Kapag ang blood pressure mas mataas 185 over 110 millimeter of mercury. Another nurses would be bleeding disorder. You have to avoid natin yan sa merong mga bleeding disorders. Okay? So, it should be avoided sa mga pasyente merong hemophilia, sa mga pasyente merong idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura. So, these are the common example. Another would be, avoid din natin yan sa merong recent surgery. Okay, recent surgery. Okay, you put the patient at risk for bleeding also. Okay, may recent surgery. And the patient who is currently taking what? Currently taking what? Anticoagulant. Okay, currently using anticoagulant. Okay, currently using anticoagulant. Once again, pag dinala ang pasyente sa ER, na-identify na natin kung anong klase ng stroke. So we have your ischemic. Ang unang ibibigay for acute management of ischemic stroke is we need to administer tissue plasminogen activator. Let me add this important information about TPA. This is actually given for 45 minutes duration, no? It's IV, ha? Okay, via IV. Okay, it's actually given for 45 minutes duration. It's IV. Now, this is the main treatment. We need to give thrombolytics to dissolve clot to promote cerebral perfusion. We need to administer TPA within 3 hours, okay? Hanggang 4.5 hours lang ang extension natin dyan. This is for better outcome. Bakit po kailangan maibigay lahat? Anong sabi ni Ma'am Jam? Your brain cell is highly sensitive to oxygen. So how will you promote oxygenation? By removing the clot, by dissolving the clot. Kapag hindi mo pa naibigay yan, so it could lead to permanent, irreversible brain damage and long-term neurological deficit. Mahihirapan tayong mag-manage ng pasyente kapag tumagal pa yung cerebral hypoxia. So that's actually our main priority in managing patient with CVA. We need to promote cerebral perfusion, just like in MI. Kung paano ka umatake ng intervention sa MI, ganun din ang atake mo ng intervention sa CVA. Kung sa MI, we need to promote coronary perfusion. In CVA, we need to promote cerebral perfusion. Okay? Malinaw po tayo dyan, nurses, ha? And yung mga eligibility criteria, masyadong marami yan. Okay? Sa ano ko na yun i-discuss sa inyo pag tayo ay nakita-kita na sa IPAS na this coming June, July. Okay, but this coming June, July, no? Okay, so hopefully magkita-kita po tayo. Okay, another nurses, ano yung pangalawang ibibigay natin? Okay. Pwede rin po tayong magbigay na, nurses, pwede bang i-delete ko na to? You may now screenshot this one bago ko po i-delete. Okay, you may now screenshot in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, lalagay ko na yung pangalawa. So, we have your, okay, okay na po. Okay, so we have your letter B. We have your platelet inhibiting what? Drug. Okay, your platelet inhibiting drug. Okay. So ito yung alam na alam natin, no? We have your clopidogrel. Okay, your clopidogrel. Okay, clopidogrel and your aspirin. Okay, so this is your platelet inhibiting drug. Ma'am Jan, ibig sabihin po pala pag ischemic stroke, ang una pala dapat nating binibigay is TPA. Tama po, yun po talaga ang una nating dapat ina-administer. Okay, ang platelet, ang clopidogrel po or aspirin, and aspirin, your platelet inhibiting drug, binibigay lang po natin yan within 24 hours after administration of TPA. So, hindi po sila pwedeng magsabay. Okay, binibigay po natin yan. So, secondary lang po yan, no? Administer after PPA within 24 hours. Ang rationale po kung bakit po tayo nagbibigay niyan, it's to prevent secondary stroke. To prevent secondary stroke. Okay, or further stroke, or future stroke. Okay? Or future stroke. Ibig sabihin pala, Ms. Jam, pwede pala to sa pasyenteng merong TIA. Totoo po. kahit ang pasyente na resolve na ang transient ischemic attack, pwede ka pa rin magbigay ng clopidogrel and aspirin for about how many days? 21 to 90 days. Okay, pwede pa rin po tayong magbigay niya ng 21 to 90 days. Once again, your platelet inhibiting drug is actually secondary lang. This is your clopidogrel, your aspirin. So ina-administer natin yan after giving PPA. Hindi pwedeng magsabay. Okay, we administer platelet inhibiting drug within 24 hours after the administration of PPA kasi pwedeng mag-cause yan ng matinding bleeding or hemorrhage. Now, the rationale of giving platelet inhibiting drug, this is to prevent secondary stroke. This is to prevent future stroke. So napakaganda nitong binibigay sa TIA, the transient ischemic attack. Kasi sabi ko sa inyo, ang TIA po, it doesn't mean na na-resolve ang stroke within 24 hours ay hindi na pwedeng maulit. Okay, kapag nag-TIA yung pasyente, magbibigay tayo ng platelet inhibiting drug for 21 to 90 days to prevent secondary stroke or future stroke. Okay? Malinaw po tayo dyan, nurses, ha? Okay, naiintindihan po. Yan, good evening. Ilan tayo dito sa mga naka-live dyan, no? Okay? So, dyan lang kayo, huwag kayong aalis dyan. Tapusin nyo ito. Okay, very good. Ayan, okay. Very good, Ma'am Ann. Okay, naiintindihan. Medyo lag lang po due to rate. Oo, medyo lag. Pero naiintindihan, nurses. Mas nakukuha niyo na po yung pinaka-concept natin. Kasi nurse, ito kasi yung ganito kasi yon. No? Ang pinaka-safe natin para maintindihan mo, yung paraan natin to understand ng isang disorder sa MS is just to follow the nursing process. You have to start with the definition. After doing the definition, you have to go with the diagnostic exam, and you have to go with your planning, your intervention, and evaluation. That's actually 100% correct at napakagandang paraan yan para ma-master natin. Kay Ma'am Jem, okay, ang paraan ko para ma-master nyo yung sakit, kunin talaga natin kung ano yung mukha ng disorder. Para kahit kayo po ay pagbali-balik ka rin sa board exam, hindi po kayo malilito. Okay? Hindi po kayo malilito ng PNLE. Okay? Pag naiintindihan mo talaga yung mukha ng disorder. Kasi ang bawat disorder, merong unique yan merong mukha yan. At iyon ang dapat nating maintindihan. Now in CVA, naintindihan natin kung gaano ka-importante yung salitang cerebral perfusion, the oxygenation, parang nagmamanage ka ng pasyenteng merong MI. So, ganon ang goal natin dito. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, from the very start, nakita natin, okay, diba, napaliwanag natin papaano ba, bakit kailangan mabigyan ng oxygen ang pasyente na merong, na nagkakaroon ng CVA. Okay? So, nurses, na hinto. Okay, sige po. Kita na, nurses. Kita na po ang aking presentation. Kita na po. Ayan. Kita na ba? Okay. Sige. Tuloy na natin to, ha? Okay. Malinaw naman po, nurses. Malinaw naman. Naintindihan? Sige. Anong una nating ibibigay? Ano daw unang ibibigay, nurses, sa acute management ng stroke? Ano po ang una nating ibibigay? We have your TPA. Okay, so importante ba yung oras sa pagbibigay ng TPA? Yes. So ilang oras daw, nurses? Within 3 to 4.5 hours for better outcome. Tandaan niyo po yan, no? So this is very, very important. Okay, now, paano naman po, Ms. Jem? So here's the question, no? Ms. Jem, paano naman po kung yung stroke na na-identify natin through CT scan is hemorrhagic? Okay, paano po tayo magmamanage? Okay, so ang unang gagawin mo dyan, since your hemorrhagic stroke is basically due to uncontrolled hypertension, BP management tayo dito. Napaka-importante that you have to control the vital signs, especially the blood pressure of the patient. Okay, ma'am, bakit po kailangan kontrolin yung BP? Pumutok na nga yung aneurysm So this is to prevent secondary bleeding. Pwede kasing lalong magdugo yan to prevent secondary bleeding or to prevent further bleeding, no? Okay, prevent secondary bleeding, okay, or your further bleeding. So we need to control the blood pressure. Okay. Ngayon, ano po ang pwede nating ibigay? So we can give antihypertensive medication like nicardipine. Okay, your nicardipine drip. And we also have your what? Labetalol. This is actually a beta blockers. Labetalol. Okay, your nicardipine is a calcium channel blocker. And your labetalol is basically a beta blocker. Okay? Itong dalawang medication na ito, hindi lang nagpapababa ng BP, no? Nagpapababa rin ng heart rate. Kasi po ang mga meds na ito ay both negative for inotropic and negative for chronotropic effects. So it decreases BP and heart rate. So bawal po yan sa nagbabrady, ha? Bawal po yan sa pasyenteng merong bradycardia. Okay? So yan ang ibibigay nating medication to control what? To control the blood pressure to prevent further bleeding. Okay? Ano pa po, Ms. Jem, ang pwede nating gawin? So, of course, we need to stop the bleeding process. We need to stop by giving reversal agent. Okay? Yung mga reversal agent na to, nurses, ito yung mga nagre-reverse ng mga anticoagulation drugs. So, anong example niyan? So, marami yan, nurses, hindi ko na ilalagay lahat. Your vitamin K. Okay, it promotes coagulation. Another would be protamine sulfate. Okay, pwede po tayong magbigay nito, nurses, to stop bleeding, no? Okay, to stop bleeding. Okay, to stop bleeding. Okay, so yan po ang mga binibigay natin for patient with hemorrhagic stroke. Okay, your nicardipine and labetalol for BP management and reversal agent like vitamin K and protamine sulfate to stop the bleeding. Okay, Last na po natin ito, nurses. Your nifedipine and nicardipine, they are both calcium channel blocker. Okay? They are both calcium channel blocker. Okay, now last natin, nurses, your intracranial pressure. Okay, ito ha. Alam nyo sa NP5 and NP4, madalas itong na-encounter ng mga bata. Kapag ang pinag-uusapan ay CVA, automatic laging kakambal niya ng ICP. Actually, your intracranial pressure is not a condition. It's not a disorder. It's a complication of different neurologic conditions, diba? Alam naman nating lahat, nurses, ang pagtaas ng ICP, it's just a complication. Complication ng CVA, it's a complication also of meningitis. Okay? It's a complication of hydrocephalus. Tama? It's a complication of brain tumor. Right? Okay, so marami tayong pwedeng disorders na nag-cause ng pagtaas ng pressure sa loob ng bungo natin. Increase intracranial pressure is basically increase in the bulk of the brain. Sa Tagalog, nagsisiksikan yung laman ng ating bungo. And as we all know, ang ating skull ay hindi nag-expand. So kapag hindi nag-expand, what happened? Tataas ang pressure kapag napuno ng laman yan. In CVA, there is bleeding. There is clot. In meningitis, there is inflammation. In hydrocephalus, there is overproduction of CSF. In brain tumor, there is more. There is a malignant or there is a benign tumor that causes compression. No? So, ibig sabihin lahat ng pwedeng magsiksik sa loob ng bungo natin, it will increase the intracranial pressure. And why it is very, very important? Bakit ba kailangan nating i-manage? Okay? Ang pagtaas ng ICP because increased intracranial pressure causes cerebral hypoxia. Okay? So ayaw natin. And di ba sabi ko sa inyo, this is our main goal. We need to promote cerebral perfusion. So nagtataka tayo bakit gigil na gigil tayo mag-manage ng ICP. Because increased intracranial pressure will lead to cerebral hypoxia. Nakukuha. At ang brain natin is very highly sensitive to oxygen. Tama? The longer the brain, okay, goes without oxygenation, the greater the risk of developing irreversible brain damage and a long-term neurological deficit. So that's why kailangan talagang i-manage yan. Okay, so ito, nurses, paano natin i-manage? So you have to understand, you have to be familiar with our mnemonics or PMA. The first one is you have to position the client. How will you position the client? Nurses, makinig ng mabuti. Ang pagpo-posisyon ng pasyente, Okay? Para maiwasan or mapababa ang ICP, ay depende rin po sa kung anong kondisyon at depende sa kung ano ang surgical procedure na ginawa. Okay? So, saka ko na i-discuss yan kasi in your supratentorial craniotomy and infratentorial, may iba tayong paraan kung paano ipoposesyon. Okay? May mga konti tayong discrepancy pagdating sa pagpoposesyon. Okay? But number one is positioning for CVA. Okay? Ito ang general rule natin. Position for at least what? Okay? The head of bed must be elevated at least 30 degrees. So, ito ay semi-Fowler's, Miss Jem? Yes. Okay? So, some of the books will tell 15 to 30, maximum of 45. Okay? Maximum of 45 degrees. Hindi po tayo nagpo-posisyon avoid 90 degrees kasi magkukos ng brain herniation. Okay? Magkukos ng brain herniation. Okay po. Miss Jem, ano po ba ang ginagawa pag nagtataas tayo ng ulo ng at least 30 degrees? Okay, ang kagandahan, when you put the patient, okay, at least 30 degrees yung taas ng ulo. Definitely, it's actually the principle of gravity. No? It's the principle of gravity. It will promote venous drainage. Tama? Okay, it will promote venous drainage. So, this will decrease patient intracranial pressure. So, nakakababa talaga siya. Okay? Ng intracranial pressure. Ano pa ang mga dapat tandaan, Ms. Jem? You have to avoid, kapag nagposisyon ng pasyente, you have to avoid head flexion. Ano pa? You have to avoid what? Head extension. Ano po ba dapat? Kailangan ang pasyente ay neutral. Okay? Neutral position. Okay? Naka-neutral position. Okay po? Next natin, Ms. Jem. Ano po yung M? This is what? Maintain. Maintain what? Cerebral perfusion. So how will you maintain cerebral perfusion? Definitely, we administer oxygen. No? Oxygen therapy tayo dito, nurses. Wag niyong kakalimutan ito, ha? Oxygen therapy. Okay? Bakit po, Ma'am Jem, ayaw natin nagsa-cerebral hypoxia? Alam niyo po, nurses, kapag nagsa-cerebral hypoxia ang isang pasyente, kunwari nagkaroon ka ng CVA, so nagkaroon tayo ng cerebral hypoxia, meaning to say nakulangan tayo ng oxygen, okay, nagkulangan tayo ng oxygen, nagkaroon ng ischemia, okay, sa ating brain cells. So ano pong nangyayari? Nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na vasodilating cascade, okay? Or the vasodilation cascade, okay? Your vasodilation cascade, it's actually a compensatory mechanism. So nangyayari talaga to. Kapag ang brain natin ay nakukulangan ng oxygen, nagsa-cerebral hypoxia tayo, nagkakaroon ng vasodilation cascade. It's a compensatory mechanism. Ang problema natin, every time na nagkakaroon ng vasodilation cascade, this would increase the cerebral volume. Ay, nag-i-increase po ang volume. Now, pag tumaas ang cerebral volume, it could lead to cerebral edema. Okay? It could lead to cerebral edema and pwede pa lalong magpataas ng ICP. Di ba kaya tinatanong natin, bakit ba ang pasyente na mayroong CVA nagkakaroon ng cerebral edema? Ito ay dahil sa cerebral hypoxia. That's why oxygen therapy is very, very naiintindihan, nurses. This is very, very important, ha? Kinakailangan po, we need to prevent cerebral hypoxia, to prevent vasodilation cascade kasi magli-lead to cerebral edema. Kaya nagbibigay nga tayo ng mannitol, right? Okay, now, letter A is what? You have to avoid the following. You have to avoid anything that will increase intracranial pressure. I-avoid natin yung caffeine. siya hindi umubo. Ayan, ma'am. Ma'am, pasensya na talaga. Versus
Fine.
sorry talaga.
Totally fine.
Wala tayong magawa eh. Ano ba yan? Mag-rally tayo mamaya. Sige. Okay. Sige, nurses. Ayan. Sige. Konti na lang to. Konting-konti na lang po ito. Ayan. Sige. So, natututo naman. Natututo po? Okay, sige po. So, ano po yung mga dapat pa nating i-avoid? Okay, thank you so much. Yan. Ano pa yung mga dapat nating i-avoid, nurses? So, you have to avoid constipation, no? Okay, avoid constipation. So, bawal tayong mag-strain, no? Okay, bawal tayong mag-strain, or bawal tayong mag-Valsalva maneuver. Okay, kasi lalong tataas yung intracranial pressure. Avoid din natin yung bending on the waist, no? Bending on the waist and heavy lifting. Okay, your heavy lifting. Okay, yun yung mga dapat nating i-avoid. Okay. Miss Jam, ano pa? Ito ha, alam nyo ba, nurses, kapag mataas ang intracranial pressure, bawal tayong magbigay ng vasodilator. Yes, we need to avoid giving vasodilator. Example, NTG. Kasi it promotes what? Cerebral vasodilation. It causes vasodilation cascade. So pag nagbigay tayo niyan, magkukos yan lalo ng cerebral edema. So bawal yan ha. Huwag muna tayong magbibigay ng vasodilator. Ano pa po, Ms. Jam? Siyempre, another letter A. This is not actually avoid, but we have to administer. We administer what? We administer mannitol. This is actually hypertonic, no? This is a hypertonic solution. This is osmotic diuretics, no? It's osmotic diuretic. So, binibigay ito primarily to decrease cerebral edema, no? Because hypertonic solution promotes cellular dehydration, no? Yun ang gusto natin, no? Kasi ang daming fluid sa ating brain cells. So, we need to give a hypertonic solution like mannitol because hypertonic promotes cellular dehydration, no? So, binabawasan niya yung tubig sa ating brain, okay? Via osmosis. And lastly would be your steroids. Okay? Your steroid is anti-inflammatory, no? Example po niyan, your dexamethasone, wherein dexamethasone is the only steroid that can pass through the blood-brain barrier. So ito yung nakakapasok sa ating brain cells. So this is to decrease brain inflammation. Okay? Once again po, nurses, pag nagmamanage po tayo ng pasyente na tumataas ang ICP, kailangan head of bed must be elevated for at least 30 degrees, okay? Not 90 because it could lead to brain herniation, no? It's by the principle of gravity. It promotes venous drainage. It decreases the intracranial pressure. Maintain cerebral perfusion by giving oxygen therapy because cerebral hypoxia. Every time na makukulangan ng oxygen ng ating brain, laging merong vasodilation cascade. It's a compensatory mechanism at pag nagkaroon ng dilation cascade, there will be increased cerebral volume. There will be increase in the cerebral volume leading to cerebral edema at lalong tataas ang pressure sa loob ng bungo ng pasyente. We need to avoid coughing, constipation. You have to avoid straining, Valsalva maneuver, bending, heavy lifting, and vasodilator like nitroglycerin because vasodilator promotes vasodilation. So this would increase the cerebral volume. So lalo magsa-cerebral edema ang pasyente and administer mannitol to manage cerebral edema and your steroids, anti-inflammatory, your dexamethasone, which is the only steroid that can pass through the blood-brain barrier. So nurses, this is actually ito na siguro yung pinaka-summarize natin when it comes to the management of your CVA. The rest of the management focus more on symptomatic and supportive management and rehabilitation. But during the acute management of CVA, napaka-importante po nitong mga tinuro ko sa inyo. Once again, nurses, this is Miss Jem Sombilla, and hopefully magkita-kita po tayo sa IPAS ha. Okay, so hopefully po ay ma-meet ko kayong lahat ng nasa Zoom or lahat ng mga, lahat ng mga naka-live ngayon. So sana makita ko po kayo. Okay? And okay, sige po. Okay po, sana magkita-kita tayo. So hopefully you learn something from Ma'am Jem, no, na magagamit natin sa pagtitake natin ng PNLE. And alam nyo, ano lang yan, ako naniniwala ako na talagang ibibigay yan sa inyo your license, no, okay, this coming November 2025. So yan, sana makita-kita tayong lahat ng mga nanonood dito, lahat ng mga nasa Zoom, lahat ng nasa live, and sa lahat ng mga naging students ko, hello po sa inyong lahat. Okay? Ma'am Rachel, thank you so much. Sir Ryan po. Thank you so much.